Hello everyone, it's Micah. Welcome to my inaugural video where I am documenting me. Um, my plan is to attach this to an existing YouTube channel, so there will be older videos than this on the channel. But this is my refresh of that channel, if you want to call it that, or it's really just me tacking on this new project onto that. Uh, I don't have a fully formed concept for this. This is really just part of my personal kind of amalgamation of all the things that are important to me in my life, and I'm trying to channel all this into my personal website, and part of that journey is documenting my opinions and takes, and documenting my observations and things, talking about things that are important to me. It's no more specific than that right now, so don't read anything else into it. If you're watching, and understand that this is absolutely a work in progress. As a matter of fact, that's the name of the YouTube channel that I'm going to tack this onto. So I guess it does really follow along with that theme rather than truly being just tacked on. For my inaugural edition, I thought I'd just dive right into the deep end of the pool and talk about current events. Right now, the big item in the news is the Iran. I'm obviously an expert on the conflict because I'm uncertain how to pronounce the name of the country. But of course, obviously, we in the U.S. we vacillate between those two pronunciations. But anyway, not getting lost in the minutia of it. Part of what I'm doing here is I'm talking through things in real time. I'm not a journalist, and I'm not pretending to be. I just want to get my thoughts down, document them, and initially for this video, I thought that I would just give my take on the Iran conflict, but I will gloss over that, or my plan is to gloss over that in my initial pass, because my opinion on that doesn't hold a lot of weight. I haven't followed the conflict that closely. I just know what I know, and that's pretty limited. And also based on the news sources that I've been exposed to. And part of what I want to cultivate through this channel is a more refined understanding of social events and historical context. Like a lot of the rest of the world, my news diet has sort of been dumbed down to rah-rah cheerleading on both sides of the political spectrum, and I unabashedly belong to one side of that spectrum, and I'll stake claim to that. So I will sneak in all kinds of commentary, because at the end of the day, this is my channel where I'm talking about my thoughts on things, and I'm a liberal, so that's just the fact of the matter, and I'm going to always come down on that side of the rah-rah spectrum. But at the same time, there is such a thing as a nuanced reading of the facts that are being presented, as opposed to bending everything in service of promoting an agenda. That's part of what I want to talk through. Obviously, I don't have any new or breathtakingly novel takes on what's happening in Iran. My overall opinion based on where we are now, is that it's a cyclical kind of conflict where we weren't really sure what we wanted to do when we went in, and so we're never really sure when we've accomplished it, and we just need to know that we need to get the last word, so to speak. And various goals have been floated about what we're trying to accomplish: regime change, destroying the nuclear program, and maybe not so secretly control over world oil markets, or at least being able to positively influence them so that the overall macroeconomy is better. All of these things are sort of floating around there, and the official word from the executive branch, who single-handedly initiated this war, has changed depending on the day, because obviously our messenger-in-chief has a stream of consciousness, a style of doing things, and please know that I'm being very charitable in my word choice. It's not my intent to get angry and be like, to some degree, I'm just kind of resigned to the fact that we have the person that we have, who's the type of person that he is, and we'll just leave it at that. At any rate, like I said, I don't have any novel takes on it. I do want to document this moment in time when we are resuming hostilities and there's all these unintended consequences, and I think that's possibly even more important ultimately from a larger lens, from if you take a step back, and that's from the little research that I did to kind of get a more newsy approach or a newsy perspective on what's going on there. That's sort of the takeaway I have, that we're depleting a lot of our military stockpiles by engaging in this conflict, which gives us less leverage or less firepower and human capital to devote to other conflicts in other parts of the world, namely Ukraine, namely Hong Kong. And so in numerous other places where we could be making a difference in perhaps a more constructive way, rather than the sort of aimless one-upsmanship that seems to be what has us stuck in this particular conflict. So, nothing novel to say there, but I found something a little more interesting by, again, going back to social media. Like, my approach is, let's be a little more newsy about it, but I think by drawing a contrast to social media, I can drive home my point for today, like, for this first video, and that is immediately prior to recording this, I saw something that kind of changed the direction of what I wanted to be the takeaway from this video, and that was a Facebook reel that popped up and was served to me, which presented the viewpoint of somebody, a content creator. I don't know what his credentials are. I don't recall ever seeing him before, but he seemed like he had a fairly professional setup for his channel. So I'm going to just assume that because of that, he has a decent audience and he's devoted a significant amount of resources to doing the thing that he does. But again, that doesn't confer legitimacy on the rigor of the journalism that he's relying on, or on his personal integrity. However, he was someone who generally shared the same opinion that I do politically. So as a social media consumer, as a citizen, I was inclined to go rah along with him and support his viewpoint. But it's so interesting that just in the context of reading one fairly detailed news article about the news event the specific news event that he was referencing, that I found what appears to me to be a mischaracterization, or at least possibly an exaggeration of the scope of what's going on. Now, I fully agree that this administration is not to be trusted in a lot of ways, and that they've bent facts to their will at the direction of the commander-in-chief. So I understand that perspective on things, but this content creator who was making a separate point about how a Fox News host came to an epiphany that Trump might not be telling the truth, which is a dubious interpretation of what she was saying. It was just like, from what clips from Fox News I've heard over the years, they pretty regularly sort of like kind of gently fact check some of the stuff that he says. It's been a long time since they were perfectly aligned, so this is hardly news that someone said something that might indicate that, oops, maybe he's wrong about something. I think that that's not news. But regardless of that, and my suspicion that maybe this content that this content creator created was in fact kind of like non-news and not really even worth commenting on. His lead up to that was that he was talking about the Pentagon scandal, where they are grossly mischaracterizing the number of deaths that are happening in Iran. And he didn't name numbers. He said that they were covering them up. He said that they were not reporting them, or at least the language he used very much pointed to that degree of that degree of deceit. And the actual news story that I read indicated that the thing that occurred, which I don't think is totally on the up and up, but I don't think it's as serious as he is describing, is that they took the death toll down from the Iran conflict down from 18 to 14. They moved those 4 deaths to a separate page and basically spread them out so that it didn't look as bad. That's not a best practice in my opinion, and I think that if they were going to do that, they should have gone about it differently. Like, once you've posted the 18 deaths, then you have to kind of run with that, or at least not erase it off of the site and say that this number was acknowledge that this number was previously at 18. The other 4 deaths are now classified in this other category. But it just goes to show that in this instance, in the service of his argument that the government sucks, the administration sucks, that he basically, in my opinion, purposely didn't really delve into the specifics of the news story, which were a little more nuanced than they're covering up deaths. Now, is it possible that they are? Yes, but the news story that actually came out that he was commenting on only pointed to the fact that they moved 4 of the deaths to a different category. And I think, now the motives for that could be pretty pernicious. From what I read, by moving those casualties into a different category, this lends integrity to integrity, sort of a reach, but it lends credence to this idea that the 60-day authorization that the president gets under the War Powers Act of 1974. Am I remembering all that correctly? Not a historian. I'm really just going based off of what I've read recently. But that 60-day clock resets if they classify this conflict as different from the one that started in February. And that's a very pernicious way to stay at war and try to use the language in the legal language and find a loophole in it by basically stopping and restarting every 60 or 90 days, or however, on whatever timetable you want, just so you can keep doing what you want without any congressional oversight. And that's pretty bad. And so I'm not saying that the administration didn't do anything wrong. I'm saying that this particular content creator glossed over the nuances of it by just sort of saying wholesale that there was this huge misrepresentation. To me, every life lost is obviously a tragedy, and we can't I can't overstate that. And the president needs to take responsibility. The administration, the government needs to take responsibility for and show that there's actually some benefit to the country at large somewhere for the sacrifices that these young people are making. That being said, changing a number from 18 to 14 is not a large-scale government cover-up. And by omitting the numbers, omitting the scale of what has been documented, is a kind of a way of, for lack of a better term, fear-mongering. Like, there may be things that we don't know, but we can't extrapolate things by saying this is an absolute fact that this has happened, and then omit some of the key numbers about what we know about the scope. So to me, it was just one of those ways, subtle, not so subtle. I'm not sure what counts as subtle anymore, with the social discourse being what it is. But in this instance, I feel like this guy was being a little bit intellectually dishonest even though I generally agree with his conclusions. And that's why, that's sort of why I'm here. Like, that's why I'm sitting here recording my thoughts on this, is because I want to talk through these things for myself and document where my thought process is going when it comes to these things. Now, that's going to be it for today. Not every video is going to be about current events that I make. It's really about whatever is on my mind, whatever I'm moved to talk about in a particular sitting. But I want to, start thinking through some things and start adding some value to the conversation at large in the world. I mean, heck, even if only maybe 10 people watch this, at least, I feel like I've made the effort. I feel like I've put in a little work to kind of sort through some of the clutter in my brain, to sort through some of the clutter in the world, and make things make a little more sense to me. So this was my first shot at this, and that's going to be it for today. Until the next time.